So in October of 2016, something really awesome happened in the gaming world, and not a lot of people noticed. Everyone was too busy with Battlefield 1, Battlefield returning to its roots and going to a more classic boots on the ground mechanic, that everybody seemed to forget about Titanfall 2. Despite Titanfall 2 having an amazingly gorgeous and engaging campaign, fantastic movement mechanics praised by almost everyone, excellent gunplay, and a consumer-friendly monetization structure that had microtransactions but didn't rely on randomized loot boxes, years before the community as a whole would rebuke against them. Titanfall 2, doing as poorly as it has, is a failure and an insult of modern gaming. But thankfully, Respawn wasn't down and out and did what they could to come back from this disappointing release to release Apex Legends, a battle royale shooter set in the Titanfall universe that has been taking the world by storm. And because of Apex Legends, a lot of people are going back to check out Titanfall 2. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's $5 in most platforms, $20 on PC right now. The price went up once sales started going up. I see what you did there, EA. And really, it's just a second chance for a game that very much deserves it. So let's take a look at the best first-person shooter that you never actually played. Let's do a review of Titanfall 2 in 2019. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Legundo, and I loved Titanfall 2 when it first came out. Unfortunately, the game was very much overshadowed by bigger budget titles that launched right around the same time, both by EA. Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 were both launched by the same publisher, even though they were created by different studios, and Battlefield, being the more commonly known name, got a lot more of EA's support when it came to marketing and even its release window. Titanfall 2 caught very much the short end of the stick and the pennies at the end of the marketing budget, and really did not perform well initially out of the gate. So much so that they had to drop the traditional matchmaking playlist system for a mixtape matchmaking system in order to keep queue times short. And that performs extremely well. Don't take it as an insult towards Respawn's effort in order to make sure Titanfall 2 is still properly supported. The amount of content drops and expansions and support that Titanfall 2 has received, despite its small and passionate fanbase, is a testament to how much Respawn really cares about the games they release. Titanfall 2 reads as a love letter to its supporters, the people who stuck by the first Titanfall, despite it being a multiplayer-only title released in 2014. The first Titanfall interwove a single-player, vaguely referenced story in with multiplayer matches, but the second decided that they could do so much better, and did a full narrative campaign that lasts about 8 hours if you're playing through on regular difficulties. Before we go too much into the multiplayer, let's dig into the campaign. The single player campaign has you piloting the newly promoted pilot Jack Cooper, paired with BT-7274, a Vanguard-class Titan, and the first created by the militia directly. It heavily relies on the movement mechanics of the Titanfall sandbox, encouraging quick movement and unique thinking when it comes to the areas you're presented with. Wall running, double jumping, sliding underneath barriers, and engaging enemies close combat and then quickly getting out of line of sight is absolutely necessary to complete the game at higher difficulties. And BT is not just a throwaway character and just a voice inside of a robot that you happen to be piloting. He jokes, laughs, comments on your performance, and is consistently growing throughout the entirety of the campaign, as well as Cooper himself learning to become more confident in his newfound abilities as a pilot instead of just a rifleman. The campaign has divided pilot and Titan sections, and you really can't get out of your Titan to be able to engage some of the larger enemies while on foot with having BT running automatically. And this works. You were never going to be able to intermingle these two things, but being able to fight in a large open battlefield as BT and Cooper working together, and then having to wall run and jump through a small claustrophobic mining facility to retrieve a tool that you need to move forward, works really well to the balance and the dichotomy of Titanfall 2's play. Enemy types are varied enough to keep things interesting, but not so much so that you're always wondering what you have to do, and the campaign doesn't overstay its welcome. You fight each major Titan type once as a named enemy, and then fight them intermittently as little trash mobs that you fight with lower HP. You also have the ability to basically play as every Titan in the multiplayer through BT's ability to pick up additional loadouts, so you are always being able to change up your strategy and use the campaign as a bit of an introduction to each of the different Titan types, so you know what you'll want to play once you hit multiplayer. But the standout moment, the gem in Titanfall 2, is the mission Effect and Cause, which has you jumping back and forth through time to escape different puzzles and go through doors that are active in the past but busted in the present. Run through corridors that are on fire and blocked in the present but available and open in the past. The jumping back and forth and hearing radio messages going through only to cut to an on fire deserted area with half of a stalker robot crawling behind you ready to explode is extremely engaging. And I found myself listening to the lore bits on this level specifically as we figure out just what it is that's going on. And the care and effort that was put into that mission specifically really makes the entire campaign worthwhile, even though the rest of the campaign still shines on its own if that mission hadn't been present. It is a straightforward story. There is no massive twist. There isn't some grand reveal at the end of things. Instead, there is one gotcha near the end, which I will not spoil, but in general, the story moves from A to B in a rather direct fashion. And don't take that as a negative. Telling a simple story very well is something to be commended. But Titanfall 2's 6-hour single player is really just the introduction into the game, where you're going to be spending the majority of your time is in multiplayer. There are a series of different game modes, including Last Titan Standing, the Coliseum, which is a 1v1 pilot v pilot area. But the main game mode you'll be playing is either Frontier Defense, which is a 4-player co-op defeat the horde style game mode, or Attrition, where you fight not only against your opposing players, but also opposing NPCs as well. And this allows people, regardless of their skill level, to still contribute to their team's success or failure. Spending a lot of time taking out NPC enemies can really rack up score points and allows you to charge your Titan that much faster, being able to get that on the field for that decided advantage. But the Titans themselves are completely overpowered. A skilled pilot with anti-Titan weapons can definitely make a difference even if the opposing team is entirely engaged in their mech armor. The balance between pilot and Titan gameplay on all of these maps, the mobility of the pilots versus the hard-hitting lethality of Titans, is exquisitely well crafted and is something to behold. Speaking of all of the weapons, most of your weapons and abilities unlock through simple progression. You can't purchase your way into different skill kits or different weapons or different armor types. Most everything is unlocked simply by playing the game and completing challenges. Those things that aren't unlocked by challenges are available for direct purchase in the microtransaction powered store. Now you have some things which are just a singular weapon skill, which is available for $5, or you have 20 skin packs, which are universal, applicable to any Titan, any weapon, or any pilot piece of armor for $2.99. That is an insanely high value when it comes to the amount of items that you're receiving. And this is a game where its predecessor had the burn card system, which was just begging to be put into a microtransaction loot box, but Respawn just didn't do it. They allowed you to purchase exactly what you wanted and didn't have to do it with any sort of points to get you to spend over what you needed for just a single item. Instead, everything is just available as a direct purchase with as little bullshit in between you and the skin you want as possible. All of this revenue was used to fund updates to the title, and there is no community splitting DLC and nothing that would restrict you from playing with somebody who has owned this game since day one, aside from the very high skill gap. I cannot say enough good things about Titanfall 2 because it is a game that wholeheartedly deserves it, and seeing Apex Legends' success pour over into the shooter that preceded it is something that makes my heart grow 3 sizes inside of my chest. I am wholeheartedly anxiously waiting for a Titanfall 3 to be announced, and with Respawn's recent successes and the amount of revenue that they've generated for EA, I would hope that they leverage that success in order to get a third entry into this series. Titanfall 2 was dealt a bad hand when it initially launched, with EA very focused on the Battlefield series to be its big moneymaker and its blockbuster, and the poor performance of Battlefield 1 long term I feel is a bit of karma for turning their back on such an exquisitely crafted game. I know this whole video is just me gushing about Titanfall 2, and it is. I say it in the title, I said it at the start, I will say it again. This is the best game that you never played. So for as little as $5, if you could see it on sale on any of the platforms of your choosing, or for the full $20 price tag now, again, haha, I see what you did there, EA, I would wholeheartedly and entirely recommend picking up and playing Titanfall 2 for the single player campaign alone, if not for the very fleshed out, very well balanced, and very engaging multiplayer elements. For everybody asking for a deathmatch in Apex Legends, it's here in Titanfall 2 in spades. But that's all I have to say about this game. I want to hear from you though. Did you play Titanfall 2 at launch? Did you step away as the game sort of fell off your radar? And have you jumped back in with Apex Legends? Or have you just picked up the game now after seeing just how good Respawn can do? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's keep a conversation going on all of these videos. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you next time. Bye bye, everybody.